Welcome back to Trading Lessons from Legends. If you've ever felt the market turning against you, if you've ever wondered how some people seem to see the storm before it hits, this story will change the way you think forever. In 1929, when the entire world was blinded by euphoria, one man stood completely still. While millions lost everything, Jesse Livermore made $100 million. Not because he was lucky, but because he understood something that almost every trader still gets wrong today. What you're about to hear isn't about money. It's about perception, the ability to see the invisible pattern before it becomes obvious. And if you skip this story, you'll miss the exact mindset that separates those who survive the market from those the market consumes. So take a breath, silence the noise around you, and listen closely, because Jesse Livermore didn't just make a fortune. He discovered 5 timeless truths that could rewrite the way you see every chart, every trade, and every decision you'll ever make. Part I, the observation. When the market whispers. I've spent years studying Jesse Livermore, the man who once held the market in the palm of his hand and then watched it slip through his fingers. Every account, every diary line, every quote tells the same quiet truth. Before he acted, he observed. Livermore's genius wasn't prediction. It was perception. He had the patience to sit still while the entire street shouted. He could read the crowd's heartbeat the way a sailor reads wind on water. And in the late 1,920 seconds, that water glittered with euphoria. 1. The sound before the crash. New York, 1,928. The canyons of Wall Street echoed with the gospel of prosperity. Everyone's shoeshine, boys, widows, cab drivers had a sure thing. The ticker clattered day and night, like a typewriter scripting eternal wealth. Livermore listened, not to the words, but to the tone behind them. He called it the sound of greed, a melody that always ends in silence. He watched banks extend credit to clerks earning $20 a week. He read headlines proclaiming a new economic era. He saw brokers leasing private telephones because lines were jammed with orders. And he recognized a pattern older than any chart. When everyone believes risk is dead, risk is most alive. That was the whisper. Most traders hear the shout, the surge, the volume, the buy now. Livermore trained himself to hear the fatigue behind it, the exhaustion of logic beneath emotion. He knew that hysteria is not a climax, it's a prelude. R, the art of waiting. Observation means resisting participation. That's the hardest discipline on earth for a trader. Livermore's notebooks from that year are full of half sentences. Market strong, too strong. Public buying, everything dangerous. Wet. He waited almost a year. While others doubled accounts in weeks, he sat on cash. Friends mocked him. The papers called bears un-American. But Livermore wrote, a man must know when to sit, and that sitting is a position. He understood that doing nothing is also a decision. Observation isn't passive. It's active awareness without interference. It's the space where clarity gathers. 3. Seeing the market as human. To Livermore, prices were emotions translated into numbers. He believed markets move because people move, not the other way around. Every spike was a scream of hope. Every dip, a gasp of fear. He'd pace the floor of the exchange, watching eyes instead of tickers. He said he could tell the market's mood by the way traders handled paper. When men began smoothing creases, holding slips delicately, he knew confidence had peaked. When they crumpled them with shaking hands, fear had arrived. That sensitivity made him rich, and later, nearly destroyed him. But in 1929, it gave him a clarity no model could. He saw the collective mania, as if standing outside his own species. Where others saw opportunity, he saw vulnerability. He wrote, the average man wants to be told what to do. When the crowd wants leadership, the trend is about to end. 4. The quiet position. By summer 1929, Livermore began to act quietly. He didn't short the market in one grand gesture. He tested it, probing like a surgeon searching for weak tissue. He'd sell a small lot, watch how the market absorbed it. If prices barely moved, the bull was still strong. If they hesitated even for seconds, he added more. He called these test trades. Modern traders call it scaling in. But what mattered wasn't the technique, it was the temperament. He once said, the big money is not in the buying or the selling, but in the waiting. That waiting required emotional armor thicker than steel. He waited not for confirmation from price, but from behavior. He watched panic flicker behind optimism, the crowd's first tiny doubt. That's when he knew. The bull market was finished, the public just didn't know it yet. 5. The first lesson for modern traders. Patience is a position. Modern traders live in a hurricane of data. We have charts that Livermore could only dream of, and patience he would never envy. We believe information equals advantage. He knew observation equals survival. Livermore's first lesson is this: patience is not the absence of action, it's the preparation for precision. In 1929, patience made him $100 million. In 2025, impatience makes most traders broke. Every chart still whispers before it shouts, but you'll only hear it if you stop yelling with it. 6. Inside the mind of a watcher. Livermore described his method as watching the tape until it talks. He didn't hunt trades. He waited until trades found him. That required deep self-knowledge, because boredom is the enemy of observation. He fought boredom the way monks fight temptation. He walked, read, wrote notes, kept his mind still. He treated market watching like meditation: silence, repetition, detachment. He understood that observation is a mirror. The moment you crave action, the market senses it. It tempts you. It whispers, "Everyone's in, why aren't you?" That whisper has killed more traders than any crash. So he trained himself to hear another whisper, his own impatience, and ignore it. 7. The patterns behind euphoria. Observation also means recognizing that every generation thinks its bubble is unique. In 1929, it was radio stocks and automobiles. Today, it's technology, crypto, AI, different nouns, same verbs. Livermore wrote that man's greatest delusion is believing this time is different. He understood that innovation doesn't abolish emotion. Every boom begins with reason and ends with justification. The more people need to explain why prices should stay high, the closer they are to collapse. Modern traders drown in narratives. Livermore drowned them out. He let the chart that distilled emotion of millions speak for itself. The maturity of stillness. By September 1929, the tape hesitated. Not crashing, just stuttering. Volume stayed high, but conviction thinned. He felt the shift before anyone could measure it. Observation had turned into intuition, not magic, but data absorbed so deeply it became instinct. He began increasing his shorts quietly, invisibly. No announcements, no press. He'd seen too many men be famous. His brokers whispered that he was crazy, the economy was perfect. The president himself had said so. Livermore replied, "When the government tells you everything is fine, it's time to check your parachute." 9. The crash approaches. In October, prices cracked. A single bad day, then a rebound, then another slide, the rhythm of denial. Livermore didn't celebrate. He didn't tell anyone. He simply wrote in his notebook, "The market is beginning to talk loudly." He wasn't guessing anymore. He was listening to screams. The observation phase was over. The execution phase had begun. But this first part of his story, the silent year before the crash, holds the most valuable lesson of all. Because in that year, Livermore proved that restraint can be more powerful than brilliance. C. Reflection for today. Ask yourself, when was the last time you watched a market for months without acting? When did you last let a setup mature instead of forcing one? If you can't remember, you're trading the need to feel alive, not the need to profit. Livermore's patience wasn't superhuman. It was engineered. Journals, habits, silence. He built systems to save himself from himself. The modern trader builds systems to trade more. Livermore built systems to wait better. That's why he survived when geniuses vanished. 11. Closing the first lesson. Observation is the foundation of every great fortune and the filter that keeps emotion out. Livermore's $100 million trade began not with a chart but with silence. He spent 12 months gathering clarity and only 3 weeks executing it. In today's world of microseconds, that ratio feels impossible. And that's exactly why it's valuable. If you learn to observe longer than others, you will act shorter, faster, and truer than they ever can. The market still whispers before it moves. Most just can't hear it over their own noise. Livermore could. That's why history still says his name in awe. Part 2. Timing and confirmation. How Livermore waited for the world to agree with him. Livermore never believed in calling tops. He believed in waiting until the market itself whispered. Now. That whisper was confirmation, the one sound he trusted more than his own conviction. By early October 1929, the whisper turned into an echo. Volume swelled without progress. Stocks moved higher, but closed weak. He called it the hesitation of hope. To most, it looked like strength. To him, it felt like fatigue. He had been short for weeks, small at first, probing. Now the confirmation he'd been waiting for arrived not in numbers, but in behavior. Eins. Confirmation is behavior, not price. Livermore taught that markets don't confirm with a level. They confirm with reaction. It isn't the fall that matters. It's how the crowd handles the fall. On October 23rd, the tape turned erratic. Bids vanished faster than they appeared. A 10-point rally collapsed into panic within minutes. That day, Livermore added size not because he was certain, but because the crowd finally wasn't. He once wrote, "I don't predict. I watch how the market reacts to the unexpected." That sentence is the core of timing. Modern traders chase forecasts. Livermore chased responses. He believed every chart has a heartbeat. When it skips, that's confirmation. 2. The science of timing. He described his process as scientific patience. He'd form a hypothesis, test it with small risk, and let the market falsify or verify it. He never scaled because he was confident. He scaled because the data agreed. Timing to him wasn't seconds, it was sequence. Observation, hypothesis, small entry market reaction, confirmation, full commitment. That chain kept his emotions behind his logic. He said, "The market gives you all the time in the world to be wrong, small, before it punishes you for being wrong, big." Modern traders reverse it. They go big early and wait for permission later. Livermore waited for permission first. 3. How he read. The 1,929 signals. Look at his notebooks. Sept 5. Broker's loans is greater than 8. B. Record. Sept 12. Public buying on margin. 3-1. Sept 20. Rails weak. Industrial still strong equals divergence. He wasn't guessing. He was compiling evidence. Then came his favorite signal: the leaders stopped leading. U.S. Steel, GM, and AT&T stalled, while secondary names soared. He called that the exhaustion of leadership. That was confirmation Hasson. Confirmation #2 came from credit. Banks tightened margin rates. Call money hit 20%. The cost of optimism became unbearable. Confirmation #3 was silence, the eerie pause before panic, when brokers stopped boasting. He wrote, "When you can hear your own footsteps on the exchange floor, the crowd is gone." 3 confirmations. 1 conclusion. The bull market had died of overconfidence. 4. Timing requires humility. Livermore's timing worked because it began with doubt. He assumed he could be wrong and built systems to prove it. Ego wants to be early. Humility wants to be right. That's why his motto was, "Be right, not first." He watched brilliant men short the market months too soon, get squeezed, give up, then watch it collapse without them. They were early and broke. He was patient and ready. In markets, being early without confirmation is the same as being wrong. Modern traders romanticize calling the top. Livermore despised that vanity. He wanted alignment, not applause. 5. The mathematics of confirmation. When his first short positions began to profit, he didn't celebrate. He analyzed their correlation. Were all sectors falling together? Were rallies shorter than declines? Was volume heavier on down days? When 3 of those aligned, he considered the move validated. He added not recklessly, but geometrically, increasing exposure as risk of being wrong decreased. It's counterintuitive but brilliant. He bet more after being right, not before. That is lesson 2 for modern traders. Confirmation first, conviction second. In today's world of instant entries, that patience feels alien. But timing isn't about speed. It's about synchronization with truth. 6. The day the world confirmed. October 24. Black Thursday. The market finally screamed what it had been whispering. 30 million shares traded record volume. Panic rolled through the street like thunder. Livermore's brokers rushed to his office, thinking he'd panic too. He was calm. He had been living in that moment for a year. He said quietly, "Now it's confirmed." End quote. He spent the next hours managing risk, not celebrating. He tightened stops, reduced size into strength, and watched others crumble under the weight of their own denial. That calm was not arrogance. It was preparation meeting proof. 7. The psychology of confirmation. Why do traders act before confirmation? Because waiting feels like dying. The brain mistakes inaction for failure. Livermore trained his brain to reverse that feeling, to associate waiting with strength. He rewired reward. Each day he didn't trade, he congratulated himself. Each impulsive thought resisted was a victory. By the time confirmation arrived, he wasn't reacting, he was releasing. Modern traders chase dopamine. Livermore chased data. That's why his timing felt effortless. He had burned impatience out of his system through repetition. Confirmation versus prediction. He warned, if you think you're smarter than the market, it will educate you quickly. Prediction feeds ego, confirmation feeds accuracy. The difference is survival. When you predict, you demand that the world obey you. When you wait for confirmation, you learn to obey the world. Livermore's $100 million trade wasn't prophecy. It was patience paid interest. So, a modern parallel. Every generation gets its 1,929 moment. .com 2000, housing 2008, crypto 2022. The details change, the pattern repeats. Traders still short too early, still double down, still miss the real signal, because they're addicted to being right, not being rich. Livermore would have seen it all coming, not because he knew technology or derivatives, but because he knew people. And people never update their software. The modern edge isn't information, it's interpretation. Confirmation is the firewall against self-deception. 10. When the crowd finally believes you. After Black Tuesday, Oct. 29, newspapers finally admitted collapse. Headlines screamed, "Wall Street in chaos." That was when Livermore began closing positions. He wrote, "When the world agrees with you, it's time to stop agreeing with it." He understood that public confirmation means private exit. He'd waited for the world to agree, and when it did, he quietly left. He didn't need to be right longer than necessary. He needed to be right long enough. That is the rarest timing skill of all. 11. The second lesson for modern traders. Livermore's patience teaches this. Wait for the market to agree with you, then stop before it stops agreeing. Confirmation is a two-edged sword. It gives you confidence early and danger late. Knowing when the world agrees is mastery. Knowing when to walk away is wisdom. Every trader today faces the same trap, seeking reassurance instead of truth. Confirmation should begin your trade, not justify staying forever. 12. What made his timing possible? 3 qualities: record keeping, rhythm, restraint. Record keeping. He documented everything. Writing slowed emotion. Rhythm. He traded only when markets moved in patterns he understood. Otherwise, he slept. Restraint. He sized positions so that a wrong move wouldn't erase the right ones. Those habits created time inside chaos, a pause in which to confirm. Today's traders automate data but forget discipline. Technology accelerates reaction. Livermore perfected reflection. He would have loved modern tools but hated modern impatience. Shersan, his philosophy in one sentence: a man is not beaten by the market until he loses patience with himself. That line, written after the crash, captures everything. Timing isn't a clock, it's character. Confirmation isn't signal, it's self-trust. 14. Translating Livermore for the modern mind. If he traded today, he'd still spend most of his time waiting. He'd watch algorithmic surges the same way he watched ticker surges as noise until proven meaningful. He'd use data as evidence, not prophecy. His calendar would be mostly blank, but his balance steady. That's the paradox. Boredom builds fortunes. Excitement erases them. 15. Closing thought when patience meets proof. Jesse Livermore didn't predict the crash. He synchronized with it. He let time do the heavy lifting. When price confirmed what behavior foretold, he simply stepped aside and let gravity pay him. That's the essence of timing. That's confirmation. And that's why his name still stands as the dividing line between speculation and art. For the modern trader, the lesson is simple but eternal. Observe longer, wait deeper, act smaller, confirm louder, because when the market finally agrees with you, it pays you not for your intellect, but for your patience. Part 3. Risk, Size, and Survival. Why Livermore knew that ego is the most expensive position. The crash did not make Jesse Livermore rich. Survival did. Every number attached to his name, the $100 million profit, the $1 billion equivalent today, was a byproduct of something quieter. His obsession with not dying when others did. He used to say, "A trader is only as good as his next margin call." Behind the headlines of triumph stood a blueprint of restraint. Livermore understood that risk is not the size of your trade, it's the size of your ego inside it. 1. The mathematics of staying alive. When most men measured gains, Livermore measured survival time. He treated capital like oxygen, invisible until it runs out. Every position had one purpose: to let him breathe through uncertainty. He divided risk into 3 numbers. 1. The danger you see, the stop loss. 2. The danger you imagine, the volatility. 3. The danger you deny, yourself. The third was always the killer. He would rather miss 10 good trades than die in 1 bad one. He called that the arithmetic of endurance. To Livermore, the true compounding was not money, it was experience preserved through prudence. 2. How he sized the unthinkable. In 1929, when leverage was free and frenzy infinite, traders bet as if risk had retired. Livermore did the opposite. He shrank his position size to a fraction of his capital before expanding into confirmation. His rule: never add because you're losing, only add because you're winning. He pyramided profits, not pain. That single distinction separated his fortune from ruin. He wrote, "I watch men increase size to make up what judgment lost. I decrease size to make sure I still have judgment tomorrow." Modern traders call it asymmetric exposure. He called it staying in the game. 3. Margin, the devil's invitation. In 1929, brokers offered 1-0-1 leverage on stocks that could move 20% a day. It was an invitation to suicide. Livermore saw it clearly. Margin amplifies not just profit and loss, but character flaws. He once told a friend, "If you can't sleep because of your position, you've already lost." He preferred sleepless study to sleepless fear. That meant trading smaller, keeping reserves large, and never confusing access with advantage. To him, margin wasn't power, it was pressure. And pressure distorts perception. 4. The risk nobody counts reputation. After each big win, Livermore fought a subtler risk: expectation. Every victory made silence harder. Reporters wanted quotes, brokers wanted tips. He became a myth while trying to stay invisible. He wrote, "Fame is the leverage that ruins judgment." When the world expects brilliance, you start performing instead of thinking. That's how ego quietly enlarges position size without adding a single share. He protected his anonymity as fiercely as his capital, because both preserved objectivity. Today's traders chase followers. He chased solitude. Woo. Why he survived the first panic. On Black Thursday, while others froze, Livermore's exposure was already hedged. He'd shorted industrials but held cash to absorb volatility. When prices collapsed, he didn't touch the order book for hours. He let gravity finish its work. That restraint saved him from the first rebound, the dead cat euphoria that bankrupts bears. He knew every crash breathes before it dies. Cover too early, and you lose the masterpiece. Stay too long, and you lose the artist. His survival equation was simple: capital, ego, prediction. If that order ever reversed, destruction followed. 6. The third lesson for modern traders: protect the principle, not the pride. For all our algorithms and stop-loss triggers, the timeless rule is unchanged. Never risk tomorrow's opportunity to satisfy today's emotion. Livermore's $100 million didn't come from taking massive bets. It came from keeping himself available when opportunity arrived. Availability is the ultimate edge. Modern traders talk about conviction size. Livermore practiced humility size. He knew that risk control is not about fearing loss, it's about respecting randomness. The smarter he became, the smaller he traded. That's evolution, not caution. 7. The emotional geometry of loss. He explained risk in geometry, not dollars. The first loss is a line. The refusal to take it turns the line into a curve. Keep refusing, and it becomes a circle that traps you. That circle was ego looping around denial. To break it, he pre-decided exits before entries. Once a position was entered, his job was to obey, not negotiate. He called that automation of sanity. Every trader today builds bots. Livermore built boundaries. 8. Volatility as a teacher. He viewed volatility not as danger but as data. The faster price moved, the more honest emotion became. He watched volatility clusters like mood swings too frequent, and hysteria was near. Instead of fearing chaos, he priced it. Each position had a volatility budget. Exceed it, and he exited, no questions asked. He didn't try to predict storms. He designed a ship that could survive them. 9. The illusion of safety. After the crash, the newspapers called him invincible. That headline terrified him more than any loss. He wrote, "The safest moment is always the most dangerous one. Safety breeds leverage. Leverage breeds complacency. Complacency breeds disaster." He understood that risk doesn't disappear, it migrates. It hides in comfort, in routine, in success. That's why he reset his capital after every big win. As if starting from zero, he resegmented funds. Trading capital, living capital, never touch capital. Each had walls between them. Those walls were sanity. 10. Why most traders don't survive success. Ego interprets success as proof of superiority. Livermore interpreted it as proof of exposure. He believed profit increases danger because it enlarges permission. After a gain, he'd reduce risk, not expand it. He called it re-anchoring to humility. That's the opposite of what most traders do. The crowd doubles size after a win to feel invincible. He halved size to remember fragility. That mental reset kept him from believing in immunity until later in life, when he forgot his own rule. 11. Capital is emotional energy. Livermore saw money as emotional fuel. Every unnecessary loss depleted confidence, not just cash. Confidence depletion leads to impulsive trades, which create further losses, a feedback loop of fatigue. His solution was radical. Recover confidence before capital. If he felt emotionally unstable, he stopped trading entirely, sometimes for months. He'd rest, read, and walk until curiosity returned without desperation. He understood that no amount of technical skill compensates for psychological exhaustion. Modern traders rarely stop until the account enforces it. He stopped while he still had choice. Sirr, the principle of inverse effort. He believed the more effort you force on the market, the less it pays you. Effort equals control. Control equals friction. Friction burns capital. The best trades felt easy not because they lacked difficulty, but because they aligned with momentum already present. That alignment required patience and position sizing that allowed freedom, not fear. He used small size to buy peace of mind. Peace of mind created clarity. Clarity produced precision. Precision produced profit. That chain still holds today. 13. The thin line between discipline and fear. Livermore warned that what many call discipline is actually disguised fear. True discipline, he said, is neutral. It obeys without emotion. Fear adds hesitation, and hesitation loses timing. He learned to act mechanically but think philosophically. When stop levels triggered, he closed positions instantly, then analyzed later. The separation of action and analysis protected him from paralysis. In his office, a sign read, "Think before, obey during, reflect after." That triad remains one of the most efficient risk management systems ever devised. Fiat Sane. When survival becomes wisdom. By 1930, Livermore's capital was intact while banks collapsed and fortunes evaporated. He didn't celebrate, he studied. He realized that every survivor shares one trait: adaptability. Markets change. Human nature doesn't. So adapt your method, not your mind. He began diversifying not by asset, but by approach, some trend following, some mean reversion, all within his emotional tolerance. He wasn't chasing profit streams. He was building resilience streams. That's risk management at its highest form. Survival through flexibility. Savor, savor. The third lesson summarized. For traders today, Livermore's third lesson is as sharp as ever. The goal is not to make all the money. The goal is to never have to start over. Your position size is your humility on paper. Your stop loss is your confession that you can be wrong. Your capital is the diary of every time you admitted it fast enough. Ego inflates trades. Humility compounds them. The former looks heroic. The latter lasts. Sir Luke, reflection for the modern era. In a world of perpetual leverage crypto, options, fractional shares, the temptation to trade larger than understanding has never been greater. Livermore's wisdom stands as counterweight. The less you risk per idea, the more ideas you survive to test. Survival is scalability. Scalability is wealth. He didn't conquer risk, he coexisted with it. That's why his name still sits where traders' hopes and fears intersect. 17. Closing scene. Imagine him in 1930, standing at his office window, the city still shaking from economic ruin. He lights a cigarette, watches paper drift through the streets below. To the world, he's the richest trader alive. To himself, he's simply unbroken. He whispers a note into his journal. It wasn't genius that made me money. It was not losing it when genius died. Hi. That is Livermore's third secret, the survival instinct disguised as wisdom. Part 4. The crowd and the isolation of being right. How Livermore turned noise into signal while the world screamed. After the first shock of October 1929, Wall Street no longer sounded like ambition. It sounded like collapse. Phones rang unanswered. Men whispered, not shouted. Traders stared at tickers as if waiting for absolution. And in the middle of that silence stood Jesse Livermore, the man everyone now called the Great Bear of Wall Street. He wasn't celebrating. He was alone. One, the loneliness of being right. Being right feels glorious only to those who have never been. When you're right and the world is wrong, there's no joy, only isolation. Livermore had shorted the dream. He had bet against hope. He'd made a fortune while millions lost theirs. And as the panic deepened, he felt something colder than greed or fear-guilt. He wrote later, when you profit from the destruction of others, the victory feels hollow. That's the paradox of mastery. Success separates you from the crowd you learn to read. He had always lived among them, now he existed apart. The market had confirmed his wisdom, but punished his humanity. R. The noise before the silence. Before the crash, the noise was euphoria. After, it was hysteria. Reporters begged for predictions. Traders begged for reassurance. Livermore offered neither. He told a journalist, I don't make markets. I observe them. I don't calm panic. I measure it. His detachment looked cruel, but it was discipline. The crowd demanded emotion. He supplied structure. He understood that panic is information in its purest form, emotion without disguise. Every scream on the trading floor was confirmation that rationality had finally left the building. 3. Turning noise into signal. Livermore's greatest skill wasn't prediction or timing. It was translation. He could translate chaos into context. While others saw randomness, he saw rhythm, fear expanding, confidence contracting, liquidity evaporating. He treated the crowd as a living organism. When the body screamed, he didn't argue with it, he listened for pattern. He called it the pulse. If you can hear the market's pulse, he wrote, you never need to guess its next heartbeat. The crowd's panic wasn't a mystery. It was mathematics of emotion made visible. That's how he found clarity inside catastrophe. 4. Why the crowd always arrives last. Crowds don't analyze. They amplify. They arrive not when risk is low, but when reassurance is high. That's why the public buys the top and sells the bottom. They need consensus to feel safe. Livermore never sought safety. He sought truth. He understood that the moment the crowd agrees with you, the opportunity is gone. The public is always right during the trend, he said, and always wrong at both ends of it. The crowd is a momentum indicator late on entry, perfect on exit. Modern traders still chase that comfort. They call it confirmation, but it's really permission. Livermore waited for proof, not permission. 5. The weight of silence. When the crash hit full force, brokers lost voices from shouting. Livermore lost his from silence. He spoke little for days, watching numbers melt on the tape like snow and fire. He later said, There's a strange quiet when you're right and no one believes you. It's like standing on a hill while a city burns. And that silence became his teacher. He learned that clarity is expensive. It costs companionship. When you trade your own conviction, you trade alone. 6. The fourth lesson for modern traders. The market rewards independence, not belonging. For every modern trader, this is Livermore's hardest lesson to accept. The crowd gives comfort, not clarity. The market rewards solitude, not popularity. In trading rooms today, social feeds hum with opinions. Charts are shared, trades copied, signals sold. The crowd has gone digital, louder, faster, more persuasive. But beneath the noise, the law remains unchanged. When you need agreement, you've already lost advantage. Livermore's edge came from emotional distance. He didn't isolate himself from people. He isolated his judgment from their noise. He didn't seek to be contrarian, he sought to be independent. See, the physiology of the crowd. Crowds don't think, they react. And reactions synchronize through emotion, not logic. That's why bubbles inflate exponentially. Emotion compounds faster than capital. Livermore studied crowd psychology before it had a name. He saw the trading floor as a nervous system. Each rumor was a synapse, each headline an electrical shock. He learned to measure intensity, not opinion. He'd note how quickly traders accepted good news versus bad. He said, the market's health is in the speed of disbelief. When disbelief slowed, he knew exhaustion was near. That measurement, the velocity of denial, guided his exits more than any chart. 8. When buying right feels wrong. As markets collapsed, banks called in loans. Investors jumped from buildings. Newspapers begged Livermore for interviews. He refused. He understood that public validation is the most dangerous drug in finance. He'd tasted it after earlier wins, and it always led to ruin. This time, he stayed invisible. He told his wife, the only time you should speak about success is when you're trying to forget it. He wasn't ashamed of being right. He was afraid of what being right did to men. 9. How the crowd sees genius. After the crash, they called him the man who saw it coming. He hated that title. He hadn't seen it. He had waited for it. There's a difference between vision and vigilance. Vision says, I know. Vigilance says, I'll see. Livermore practiced vigilance. The crowd wanted vision, a profit, not a process. They misunderstood him entirely. He wasn't the oracle of the crash. He was its student, and that misunderstanding planted the seed of his later downfall. The pressure to live up to genius instead of truth. Sure, the price of independence. After 1929, Livermore had money but no peace. He became a symbol instead of a man. Isolation. Once his edge turned into exile. Friends disappeared. Brokers avoided him. They blamed him for predicting what their greed had created. He wrote, the market is a machine made of men, and every machine blames its engineer when it fails. That's the irony of independence. You survive alone, and then suffer for it. 7. What modern traders can learn from his isolation. In today's markets, loneliness has been replaced by noise. You are never truly alone, but rarely truly independent. Every tweet, every chart, every expert is another crowd forming in your mind. Livermore's method requires rebuilding solitude as a skill. That means designing quiet into your process, turning off feeds, walking before deciding, making space for your own conviction to breathe. Because conviction without silence is just echo. 12. The transformation of noise. Livermore didn't hate the crowd. He understood it. He saw that without noise, there is no signal. The crowd's mistakes are the market's structure. He said, the market pays you for listening to others' fear and acting on your own reason. So he didn't fight noise, he mined it. He looked for overreaction, underreaction, contradiction. Each imbalance was opportunity. Modern traders can do the same. Treat emotion as data, turn panic into entry, greed into exit. That's what he called the algebra of crowd behavior. 13. The moment of pure silence. On October 29, the Dow fell another 12%. The floor went silent. Paper littered the ground like fallen leaves. Livermore walked outside into the cold Manhattan air. Reporters chased him down the steps of the exchange, shouting questions. He didn't answer. He looked up at the sky and said only, "It's over." He wasn't talking about the market. He was talking about the noise. In that stillness, his career reached its peak and began its descent. Because once you've mastered the crowd, the only enemy left is yourself. Circe. The fourth lesson summarized. Livermore's fourth lesson is the paradox of mastery. To see clearly, you must stand apart. To stay human, you must remember the crowd you left behind. The balance between solitude and connection defines longevity. Too much crowd, you lose conviction. Too much isolation, you lose empathy. He mastered the first and lost the second. That imbalance would haunt him later. Sir Wu. Reflection for the modern era. For modern traders drowning in information, Livermore's silence is more revolutionary than any algorithm. He proved that wisdom isn't louder than noise, it's quieter. The market doesn't reward volume, it rewards observation, and the one who listens longest wins last. If you can detach without disconnecting, observe without absorbing, and act without applause, you'll inherit the same edge that made Livermore a legend. But remember, even legends need listeners. Without connection, understanding becomes a cage. That's the hidden cost of being right. Next, Part 5, The Aftermath. When success becomes a trap. The final lesson. Jesse, Livermore left for every trader who wins too much, too fast. Part V, The Aftermath. When success becomes a trap. Success for Jesse Livermore arrived like a storm and departed the same way. In 1929, he was the most famous trader on earth. Headlines called him the man who shorted the world. He had earned $100 million, enough to buy half of Wall Street. Yet within a few years, he would be bankrupt again. The irony wasn't lost on him. He had conquered the market, but not the mirror. One, the weight of triumph. After the crash, Livermore became both hero and villain. To the ruined, he was the man who profited from their pain. To the elite, he was proof that speculation could still win. But to himself, he was neither. He told a friend, "They call me lucky. They forget how long I waited to be called anything at all." He had waited years to be right. Now he had to live with being too right. Money poured in faster than meaning. His fortune filled rooms. His confidence emptied them. He built mansions, yachts, a life too large to inhabit. And in that luxury, he began to lose the rhythm that had made him rich. The rhythm of awareness, simplicity, patience. The silence that once guided him was drowned by applause. 2. The subtle decay of awareness. Livermore's greatest enemy returned, disguised as victory ego, but this time it didn't shout. It whispered in comfort. He no longer observed. He expected. No longer waited for confirmation. He assumed it. He began to trust the legend more than the process. He wrote in his final notebooks, "The hardest lesson isn't losing money. It's losing clarity after success." He forgot that awareness fades fastest when the world agrees with you. The crowd that once frightened him now fascinated him because it adored him. 3. The illusion of invincibility. By 1933, he was trading again, big, bold, brilliant, but no longer patient. He shorted markets that refused to fall. He expected the same applause from gravity that he'd received in 1929. It didn't come. The markets changed. He hadn't. He was still a master of chaos, but chaos had evolved. Liquidity vanished, government intervention rose, and his instincts tuned for freedom clashed with a new era of control. He didn't adapt. He insisted. He once said, "A man must believe in himself, but when that belief becomes blind, the market becomes his mirror." And that mirror, once his ally, turned on him again. 4. The collapse of confidence. Losses mounted quietly. He withdrew from friends, avoided newspapers, spent days rewriting old journals trying to rediscover the man who once listened instead of commanded. He couldn't. He had become trapped in a paradox. The more he tried to relive his triumphs, the further he drifted from the clarity that made it possible. He told his son, "I made millions by letting the market teach me. I lost them by thinking I could teach the market." That's how success becomes a trap, not through arrogance, but through amnesia. 5. The psychology of overachievement. Livermore's downfall wasn't greed. It was identity addiction. When the world calls you a genius, you start mistaking recognition for validation. You trade to prove you still deserve your name. He once wrote, The worst trade is the one made to feel like myself again. That sentence belongs on the desk of every trader who's ever tried to reclaim a high. Because that's the essence of overtrading, not hunger for profit, but hunger for purpose. The market doesn't cure emptiness. It exposes it. 6. The fifth lesson for modern traders: protect the mind that earned the money. Livermore's final gift to us wasn't strategy. It was warning. He showed that money multiplies flaws as easily as it multiplies returns. If you don't protect your mind after success, your success will turn against you. He didn't lose because he forgot how to trade. He lost because he forgot how to wait, how to listen, how to doubt. The habits that built his empire were too humble to survive his ego. That's the invisible decay of every trader who wins too much, too fast. C. The silence returns. By 1940, the silence that once empowered him had returned, but now it was empty. He spent hours alone in hotel lobbies, reading old market reports as if they were letters from another life. His wife later said he'd sit for hours, staring at the ticker tape that no longer printed his name. He had everything again: new fortune, new trades, even a book published about his philosophy, yet something had gone missing: the purpose. Without the tension between uncertainty and awareness, the market meant nothing to him. He had reached the summit and discovered that mastery without meaning feels like defeat. 8. The human side of the legend. It's easy to turn Livermore into myth, but myths erase humanity. He wasn't a symbol. He was a man built of brilliance and burden. He loved numbers because they were honest. They never pretended to care. They never betrayed him. He betrayed himself. He believed discipline could conquer emotion. In the end, emotion outlasted discipline. That's what makes his story not a tragedy, but a truth, because it's the same battle every trader still fights today. 9. The final trade. On the 28th of November 1940, Jesse Livermore walked into the Sherry Netherland Hotel in Manhattan. He ordered a drink, wrote a short note in his small black notebook, and took his life with a revolver. The note began with 6 words: "My life has been a failure." But if you read his story closely, you realize those words weren't about money. They were about meaning. He had mastered markets, but never mastered peace. Sure, the legacy that survives. Livermore's methods still fill trading books today. Trend following, pyramiding, cutting losses, letting winners run. But his true legacy is psychological. The recognition that trading is not about stocks, but about self. He showed that knowledge without self-control is danger. Discipline without humility is fragility. And success without awareness is decline. Every modern trader, from hedge fund to retail, owes him a silent thank you for teaching through triumph and through ruin. 11. The mirror. Revisited. At the start of this story, I said Livermore's genius was perception. He saw the market as a mirror of emotion. In the end, that mirror reflected him completely. The crash of 1929 made him rich. The crash within himself made him timeless, because every generation of traders rediscovers that same mirror and faces the same reflection. The names change, the screens glow, the leverage multiplies, but the battle remains between the market you trade and the mind you bring to it. 12. The fifth lesson summarized. The goal is not to master markets. It's to master the mind that trades them. Livermore's downfall was not failure. It was forgetting what success had taught him. That awareness is perishable and humility is renewable. Every trader must rebuild both, again and again, or lose both entirely. 13. The researcher's reflection. After years studying him, I no longer see Livermore as cautionary or heroic. He's both and neither. He is a mirror held up to anyone who ever thought intelligence alone could outsmart emotion. His story endures because it's not about markets, it's about human nature. It's about how clarity, once won, must be guarded daily. It's about how silence, once powerful, can become empty if not filled with purpose. And perhaps most painfully, it's about how the greatest victories teach the hardest humility. 14. Closing words. The final lesson. If Jesse Livermore could speak to traders today, he wouldn't tell them how to trade. He'd tell them how to think. He'd say, wait longer than the crowd. Risk less than your ego wants. Listen when the market whispers. And when success arrives, keep the silence that brought you here, Because silence is not absence, it's awareness. And awareness is the only wealth that never crashes. You've just heard how one man, Jesse Livermore, saw the storm before anyone else. But his story wasn't about a perfect trade. It was about understanding the cost of clarity. He waited when others rushed. He listened when others shouted. And he won not because he controlled the market, but because he controlled himself. That's what made him a legend, and what destroyed him too. For every trader who dreams of mastering the market, his story is a reminder. If you can't master your mind, no victory will ever be enough. So take his lessons with you. Patience, confirmation, humility, solitude, and awareness. They don't just make you a better trader, they make you harder to break. And if this story changed how you see the market, wait until you hear the next one. About the man who rebuilt what Livermore lost. The investor who turned logic into an empire. Benjamin Graham. Thank you for watching Trading Lessons from Legends. Stay patient, stay curious, and always listen when the market whispers.